Looking for reliable forex analysis? Check out Forexscope for daily forecasts and insights to help you trade smarter. Link in the description and comments.
The 30th UN Climate Summit, COP30, is underway in Belém, Brazil, and the urgency of the climate crisis is resonating through impassioned pleas from activists. Worldwide, a significant focus of discussions centers on the urgent need for a global treaty to phase out fossil fuels, a call directed at the Brazilian presidency to propel nations towards ending the era of coal, oil, and gas, the primary drivers of the current climate emergency. This proposed fossil fuel treaty has already garnered support from 17 countries, with advocates in Belém emphasizing the critical need for immediate action on the root cause of the climate crisis, while Cop28 in Dubai saw nations pledging to transition away from fossil fuels. Concrete evidence of this transition remains scarce. Olivia Bissa, president of the Chopra Nation in the Peruvian Amazon, starkly warned, "If we continue to extract hydrocarbons from the earth, we will exterminate ourselves." She expressed deep concern over the lack of immediate action, highlighting the exhaustion of indigenous peoples in the Amazon, who feel constantly sacrificed by powerful entities seeking global dominion. Bissa stressed that inaction would render humanity complicit in ecocide and the assassination of humankind. Zepora Berman, chair of the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative, commended Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva for advocating a fossil fuel phase-out. Yet she also critiqued his administration's approval of new oil drilling near the Amazon's mouth, referencing a recent International Court of Justice ruling demanding countries address the climate crisis. Berman pointed out that fossil fuel production continues to escalate, pushing the planet beyond its limits and exacerbating inequality. She specifically called out the United States, Australia, Norway, and Canada for increasing oil and gas drilling since the Paris Agreement a decade ago, describing a treaty to end these practices as a major act of love and justice for our time. The inclusion of any language regarding a fossil fuel phase-out in this year's agreement remains uncertain, given the summit's format and the significant pushback already encountered from major oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, a staunch proponent of expanding fossil fuel extraction with his "drill, baby, drill" mantra, is seen as a significant potential opponent to any such pact. Crystal Cavalier, a Native American activist from North Carolina present at COP30 in contrast to the official U.S. government delegation, believes a new treaty could exert crucial international pressure on the U.S. to curb its fossil fuel dependence. She described frontline communities as being targeted in sacrifice zones that are pushing ecosystems to the brink, lamenting the current U.S. government's aggressive rollback of environmental protections. Cavalier views the fossil fuel treaty as a vital tool and pressure point for these communities when governments evade accountability, emphasizing the need for external pressure as the U.S. is not demonstrating sufficient commitment. Day 4 of COP30 has concluded, and several key developments have emerged. The Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative has urged the Brazilian presidency to actively encourage countries to end their reliance on coal, oil, and gas. Brazil has also launched a climate health action plan aimed at assisting health ministries in responding to the escalating impacts of climate breakdown. Transparency International has raised concerns, reporting that over half of all delegation members at COP30 have either withheld or obscured details about their affiliations, raising questions about transparency at the summit. Cristiana Figueiras, a pivotal figure behind the Paris Agreement, offered a sharp critique of the current U.S. administration's global standing, likening its approach to that of toddlers and stating that the U.S. has lost credibility on the world stage. Compounding these international concerns, domestic developments saw EU lawmakers vote to weaken a series of environmental rules, a move that has drawn criticism from environmental advocates. Away from the conference halls, the stark realities of climate breakdown are evident in global weather extremes. Agency photos from Ca Mau, Vietnam, depict persistent flooding, with some areas submerged for weeks following recent extreme rains and deadly typhoons that have tragically claimed hundreds of lives across Southeast Asia. Cristiana Figueiras, often referred to as the architect of the Paris Agreement, declared that the United States has lost credibility internationally. She characterized the Trump administration's engagement with multilateral politics as completely immature, and irresponsible, akin to young children causing a ruckus while playing house. Despite the official U.S. government's withdrawal from global climate diplomacy and its absence from COP30 negotiations, Figueres acknowledged that American voices remain involved, noting the presence of many forces within the U.S. that recognize the undeniable reality of climate change and the significant social and economic opportunities in addressing it. Concerns linger among some delegates about potential behind-the-scenes tactics by the U.S. administration to impede negotiations, possibly through alliances with countries like Saudi Arabia. Figueres acknowledged the possibility of such actions but noted that no bomb has been dropped. Thus far, the crucial issue of fossil fuel phase-out remains a focal point of negotiations. Following the Cop28 agreement to transition away from fossil fuels, some nations are pushing for a clear roadmap for phasing out coal, oil, and gas, while oil producers are resisting. Figueres observed that while political agreements are significant, an independent economic reality is also driving the transition. She noted signs that fossil fuel producers are grappling with the decline of their industries, with companies increasingly prioritizing shareholder dividends and debt reduction over expansion, suggesting an understanding that their industry faces eventual demise. The symbolic importance of COP30 being held in Belém, situated within the Amazon rainforest, was highlighted by Figueres, serving as a potent reminder of critical climate tipping points and the paramount importance of forests and indigenous rights. Nancy Pelosi, a prominent Democrat and former Speaker of the House, has sounded the alarm on America's absence from COP30. She attributed this absence not only to a government shutdown but also to a lack of cooperation from Republicans in forming a bipartisan delegation. The U.S.'s withdrawal from global climate diplomacy under the Trump administration has been accompanied by active opposition to pollution control measures in various international forums. Pelosi emphasized the need for the United States to lead in confronting the climate crisis, stressing a moral obligation to future generations. While the absence of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitter from the conference halls has been noted by some diplomats, Christiana Figueres suggested that this absence could be viewed as a positive development, bidding farewell to the U.S.'s previous engagement with a succinct "Ciao, Bambino." The profound impact of climate breakdown varies significantly depending on geographical location, a reality powerfully illustrated by the story of Saul Luciano Liuya, a Quechua-speaking farmer from the Andean highlands. His narrative, shared from a courtroom in Germany, paints a vivid picture of environmental change. Liuya describes how his once vibrant homeland near Nevado Churup has been altered by a slowly melting glacier. He recounts observing a decline in wetlands, a decrease in bird life, and fewer waterfalls compared to his childhood. The once abundant deer, known as charuca, are now rarely seen. The most alarming change is the visible melting of the glacier, a phenomenon that deeply affects him as a farmer and mountain guide. He expresses a profound sadness and sense of helplessness as he witnesses the mountain's deterioration, comparing it to an untreatable illness. The formation of lagoons due to glacial melt poses a significant danger, a stark reminder of a devastating mudslide in 1941 caused by the overflow of the Palcacocha Lagoon, which claimed thousands of lives. The rising rivers, carrying rocks during heavy rains, instill fear in him and his neighbors, who recall the past catastrophe and pray the lagoon does not burst its banks again. This personal account powerfully underscores the reality of climate breakdown. As Liuya poignantly states, the glacier is slowly melting. It's clearly visible. An estimated 4,000 media professionals have registered for the UN climate talks in Brazil. Yet a notable absence of major U.S. broadcasters has been observed. Representatives from CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox News appear to have minimal or no presence at COP30. While 2 U.S. staffers from ABC have registered, their current location and reporting capacity remain unclear. A review of television coverage by Media Matters reveals that weekday morning and evening national news shows on ABC, CBS, and NBC have not covered COP30 during the initial days of the summit. Fox News offered only brief coverage, with one segment reportedly promoting anti-climate narratives. Stefano Robleski, director of Info Amazonia, a non-profit media outlet focusing on the Amazon region, expressed disbelief at the lack of coverage from well-funded U.S. outlets, questioning the rationale behind their absence. Meanwhile, European negotiators at COP30 are advocating for increased climate ambitions. Yet their domestic political landscape has seen a rollback of environmental policies. The European Parliament has voted to reduce planet heating pollution by 90% by 2040. But a significant portion of this reduction could be met through foreign carbon credits, a compromise that falls short of scientific recommendations. Further weakening of environmental regulations includes proposals to dilute a law against deforestation in supply chains and to restrict corporate green rules. Despite Europe's historical role as a major polluter, recent years have seen a trend towards simplifying ambitious climate policies under the guise of boosting competitiveness. While the EU's 2040 target is among the most ambitious of major polluters, it falls short of the domestic cuts recommended by the European Scientific Advisory Board on climate change. Environmental groups have also expressed anger over votes to weaken corporate sustainability rules, removing obligations for companies to create climate transition plans. The coalition of center-right and far-right parties that secured a majority in parliament for these measures has been criticized for betraying promises and potentially undermining environmental protections. Adding another layer of complexity to the summit, a dispute over the definition of gender threatens to disrupt crucial discussions. Hardline conservative states have advocated for defining gender strictly as biological sex, raising concerns that this stance could exclude transgender and non-binary individuals from a key plan aimed at addressing gender inequality and empowering women in climate action. Gender rights advocates warn that such a move would represent a significant regression from established language within the UN system, emphasizing that they will not accept anything less than existing protections. Amidst these intense negotiations, the Brazilian presidency of COP30 is projecting optimism about concluding the summit on time, a rare achievement in past COP meetings that have often significantly overrun. Lilium Chagas, director for climate at Brazil's Foreign Affairs Ministry, expressed confidence in an on-time conclusion, noting the presidency's success in starting the summit promptly. Difficult issues like finance and fossil fuels have been deferred to ongoing consultations. COP President André Correia do Lago echoed this optimism, sensing a constructive mood among nations and a shared desire to demonstrate the efficacy of multilateralism. However, historical data indicates that timely conclusions are uncommon, with only 3 of the previous 29 COPs ending on schedule, the last being in 2003. In the past decade, most summits have exceeded their scheduled end dates by 24 hours or more. Protests and demonstrations are a visible presence at COP30, with participants demanding climate justice and greater protection for indigenous territories. Despite Brazil's left-wing president's support for indigenous causes and the conference being held in the Amazon region, some indigenous individuals feel their voices are not being adequately heard. Recent projections from the Associated Press indicate a potential decline in the projected temperature rise by the end of the century, while the world is still on track for approximately 2.6 degrees Celsius of warming, a marked improvement from the 3.6 degrees Celsius forecast a decade ago. This level of heating still presents dire consequences for humanity and the biosphere.